Is Denver done as a hotspot destination for out-of-state migration? It just might be. Denver's been a landing spot for people searching for a new life since the 1800s. In all those decades, they've only had two censuses where they lost population, in 1980 census and the 1990 census. In 2020, they gained almost 20%, with the entire metro area gaining almost 15%. That looks like it's about to change and start looking like the 1980s with losing people again, which longtime residents are okay with. Trust me, nobody wants to go back to living like the 1980s more than longtime Denver residents and maybe Scott Baio. In 2021 and 2022, Denver lost population again, and in 2023, it's estimated that they will lose an additional 1.5%. Some predictions have them dropping around 12% by 2030. Why is the population of the Mile High City shrinking? There are two main reasons. Number one, longtime residents are leaving not just the city, but the entire metro area for other states like Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, and Texas. At the same time, fewer people from California, Texas, and Arizona aren't choosing Denver as a relocation spot anymore. And that's what the statistics say. I know the numbers and the facts won't stop someone from claiming that they're overrun with Californians. That's very popular to leave in a comment section, even if it's not true. Someone from Mississippi said that the other day. They said, "We're getting overrun by Californians." No, you're not. Now, I'm not saying no Californians are moving to Denver anymore. I'm just saying not nearly as many as they had a few years back. To do this video, we ran a survey and asked people leaving Denver and people relocating to pick one of 30 of the most common reasons why Denver isn't for them. A lot of these are the same as other videos, but they have different stats. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, high cost of living. The cost of living in Denver has been climbing and climbing for years, and honestly, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Denver is outpacing 72% of the major cities in the US when it comes to the rate that their cost of living is going up. According to a 2022 study by the Council for Economic Research, the cost of living in Denver is 15% higher than the national average in 2022, and it's expected to go higher in 2023. Number 9, lack of affordable housing. This one is kind of a piggyback off cost of living. You rarely have a high cost of living and low home prices. It's just not the way the world works. It's also a good indicator if a place is a great place to live. I mean, Denver is, don't get me wrong. People just aren't moving there like they used to. It kind of got too good. And when things get too good, too many people show up, prices go up. That's how the world works. If you want to keep prices down, check out what Mississippi's got going on. They've cracked the code on keeping things cheap. Besides it just being really expensive to buy a house or condo or whatever, even renting a place in Denver, they've got a serious housing shortage. According to a 2022 study by the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, there's a shortage of 50,000 affordable housing units in the Denver metro area. This is due to a number of factors, as you can imagine. High cost of land and high cost of construction, along with the many residents that had moved in there over the years. Now that one may be easing things a little bit in the coming years, but right now it's still pretty high. And that's chasing a lot of people out and stopping a lot of people from moving in. Number 8, traffic congestion. Traffic always seems to come up whenever we're talking about a good-sized city. Denver's no exception. Is it as bad as San Francisco, Los Angeles, or Boston? I don't think so. I don't drive it every day. The last time I drove in Denver was just a little over a year ago. It was bad. It wasn't crazy bad, but it was enough to get under your skin. Several studies have showed that millennials and Generation Z are looking for low traffic congestion and a good transit system in whatever city they're moving to. That's one of the reasons Portland was so popular for so many years. They have one of the best public transit systems in the country. They're always in the top 10. The average commute time in Denver is 26.7 minutes. There are different studies out there, but the average, or what's acceptable, I guess you could say, is supposed to be about 17 minutes. So they're, almost 10 minutes more. I honestly thought that stat would be dropping after the pandemic because not a lot of people are going into the office still to this day in every city. I just thought that would ease up the traffic congestion, but it didn't really have as much an impact as I thought it was going to be. But when it comes to public transit, Denver is ranked 21st in the nation. Give you an idea who's got the best. New York is number 1, San Francisco's number 2, Washington, D.C. is number 3, Boston is number 4, and Jersey City, New Jersey is number 5. Portland's number 8. You know your transit system sucks when Newark, New Jersey beats you. Newark, New Jersey is number 10. Denver's 21. 59% of the residents of New York City will use the transit at least once a week if they're traveling. Only 7% of Denver residents use public transit. Number 7, the crime. Crime rates in Denver have been on the rise in recent years. They go up every couple years, then they'll have a down year, then they go up again. A lot of cities go through this, but theirs just seems to be in everyone's face these days. According to the Denver Police Department, in 2022, the violent crime rate in Denver rose 10%. Currently, their total crime rate is 186% above the national average, and their violent crime rate is 140% above the national average. That is high, but like I say in all my videos, that's nothing compared to like the worst, Detroit, which is like 450% above the national average, and I think St. Louis right now is 385% above. Bad, but definitely not the worst. Number 6, air and water quality. Now, the air quality, I totally agree with. Denver has some pretty bad air quality. A lot of that has to do with the wildfires they have every single year, but in general, normal, even without the wildfires, they got some pretty bad air quality. This can be a major bummer for people with respiratory problems, especially older people that may have some compromised lung capacity. People with asthma, COPD, things like that, they will avoid Denver because of the air quality. Now, the water quality, people put that down, but I really don't think it's that big of a deal. They're definitely not the worst. If you look at the top 100 cities in the United States, they're ranked 44th for water quality. So they're right in the middle. They're definitely not that bad. I read one study that said the city's water supply is contaminated with lead, arsenic, and pollutants. Yeah, little tiny micro bits, just like any city in the United States. Air quality, definitely that is a problem. Water quality, I don't agree with it, but people put it down there. Number 5, the job market. The job market in Denver isn't what it was, say, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But really, no city is right now. We're still recovering from the pandemic, shutdown, and all that stuff. All the jobs aren't back. Things are getting better. And I think this one is kind of a holdover from that. People that put this down, I think they're still living with that shock. Maybe they left because they lost a job during the pandemic, something like that. Because again, Denver's not doing that bad, but a lot of people seem to think so. Just last April, the state gained 7,200 jobs. That's the largest monthly gain in the last year and a half. The private sector added 6,500 jobs after losing 1,700 in March. Obviously, the leisure and hospitality sector lost a whole bunch of jobs during the pandemic, but they've also gained about 4,400 since then. They are still seeing a slowdown in energy production, gas and oil, things like that. That's everywhere though, just about. But things like aerospace, aviation, financial services, and education, those are still on the rise. Even though this one was picked, I think it's a little wrong. I think it's because the recovery hasn't hit all sectors equally. But that's how people feel. Number 4, healthcare costs. Yeah, this is another one that comes up. It has to do with the cost of living. That's always a big factor. They also say there's not enough competition in the Denver area when it comes to healthcare providers. Yeah, they're not much different than other cities, but they are ranked as the 6th highest in the nation when it comes to healthcare costs. The good news is they're 4th best when it comes to access, and their quality of healthcare is 7th in the nation. So you're paying a lot for it compared to other cities, but you can see a doctor, and when you do see him, it's going to be pretty good care. Now, to a lot of you, that doesn't really matter. If you're under 30, you don't go to a doctor, healthcare costs really don't bother you that much because you're not going to the doctor. You start getting into your 50s and 60s, this becomes a big issue, so that will actually stop a lot of retirees from moving to a city that's got high healthcare costs. But the access and the quality of healthcare might drive some in anyway. Number 3, education. When you look at the education system in Denver, it's not great. Now, their universities that they have in the area are outstanding. You have the University of Colorado at Denver, you have University of Denver, and a few other ones. But it's that K through 12 that most people aren't too keen on. According to Public School Review, Denver, Colorado public schools have an average math proficiency score of 26% versus Colorado public schools average of 31, so a little bit low there. Their reading proficiency scores 39 versus statewide statewide, 47%. Schools in Denver have an average ranking of 5 out of 10, which is in the bottom 50% of Colorado public schools. So that's not great, and a lot of people know it. They're underfunded, overcrowded, understaffed, just like so many other school districts in this country. Nothing against the teachers, it's usually not their fault. I'd say about 99% of the time it's not their fault. You always have that bad apple, but most of the time they're just extremely underfunded. Number 2, cost of childcare. Yeah, this is a big one for a lot of people. Childcare is expensive. And when you're millennial, Gen Z, this is, working on your frontal lobe most of the time because you have kids and you want to go to work, and it's expensive. The cost of childcare in Denver is really high. This is due to a number of factors, including the city's high cost of living and lack of available childcare providers. That's what happens when you have too many people move into a place over a decade and not enough time for companies to catch up with it. So childcare providers are in short supply in Denver. At least that's what a few different studies say. Just like anything else, when there's a shortage, it gets more expensive. If you need childcare in Denver, it's like having another mortgage. That's how expensive it is every single month. Full-time infant care costs are $1,700 a month on average in Colorado. In Denver, it's like $1,900. That's what it was in 2022. You have 3 kids, dropping them off at daycare, head off to work at a law firm, and have to sell pictures of your feet at lunch just to pay for childcare. All right, if you're looking to move to Denver or any other city in the United States, there is a link for a website called Home and Money in the description box below. They have a bunch of tools to help you find a mortgage, all that good stuff, but most importantly, they'll get you in touch with a real estate agent in whatever area you want to move to. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. The homeless. Yes, the homeless situation is a problem in Denver too, even though it gets painfully cold there. Like I say in every video, I got nothing against the homeless, this just keeps coming up. It is a problem for a lot of people, not just the cities. The residents have a serious problem with it. Here in Portland, Oregon, we're finally starting to change things to where it's gonna make the city more manageable. Denver has been working at it for a while, and they've been making some progress. It's just not enough for people that are moving there, and some people are moving out because of it. Homelessness is a growing problem in Denver. According to a 2022 count by the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, there's over 6,000 people experiencing some form of homelessness in the Denver metro area. This is due to a number of factors, including the high cost of living and lack of affordable housing. Of course, you have the standard mental health situation and addiction problems, just like every place else. A guy I know that works for Colorado Tech, I think it's Colorado Tech University. Anyway, he was staying at someone's house downtown. He woke up in the morning, his back window was busted out, and someone had spent the night in his car. But that is the number 1 reason people don't want to move to Denver, or they're leaving Denver. They say it's just too much. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.